How's it going, everybody? Mr. Holton here, and today we're back talking about Baldur's Gate 3 yet again. Now, this is something I've been kind of wanted to talk about for a while. See, I already made a video about this not too long ago, and this is specifically about the whole issue of Baldur's Gate 3 creating this new sort of standard, and there's a lot of devs or developers that have been well kind of riding on this train, this idea of Baldur's Gate 3 being an anomaly and not setting a new standard for gaming overall. And I think it's really important to talk about this because this whole thing started with a guy named Salavier over on formerly known as Twitter, X, where he's basically made a tweet thread where he talked about how Baldur's Gate 3 is an anomaly and that all the things that have been pushing Larian to make this game, like there's been a lot of things that have been working in their favor, right? And the thing is, he's not wrong. Let me just say that. I've seen all of his responses and all of his tweets. I've read them. I've watched the videos after that he made, and I understand where he's coming from. And one thing to know about this guy is that he is supposedly like he is an indie developer, right? So I think he is, at least. I might have gotten that thing wrong. But he has a point with, Baldur's Gate 3 definitely being an anomaly. He's definitely right about that because we've gotten a lot of crap, a lot of bullshit games these past, well, not even few years, but this past decade, which is why, in my last video about Baldur's Gate 3, I added it to the thumbnail at this, like Baldur's Gate 3 is the RPG of the decade, because I honestly think it is. He is right. It is an anomaly, but let's be perfectly honest here. When it comes to AAA games, Baldur's Gate 3 it needs to be, if not the standard, it needs to set the example for how AAA games should be, especially RPGs. Don't get me twisted here. I see people saying, oh, this should be the standard for all games across AAA titles. But, that's Baldur's Gate 3 is, well, technically it's a CRPG, but because it is a full-fledged RPG with a lot of choices and consequences, it's a different type of game than like Tears of the Kingdom, right? Or Final Fantasy 16 or God of War, right? Because those aren't choice-based games, really. When you're playing, you can, like, sometimes when you're in dialogue, you can pick dialogue options, right? But it's not the choice-based games where you have consequences for basically everything you do, like we have in Baldur's Gate 3, which is, of course, it's like built off of Dungeons and Dragons. It uses Dungeons and Dragons as its baseline. But I do think that when it comes to, in sheer terms of quality and size, for an RPG, I would say that yes, for AAA RPGs, this really should, it will set a new standard. There's no really ifs and buts here. It's just how it's gonna be. Me as a consumer, right? As much as I am, I'm not completely ignorant to how game development works. But just because you're ignorant, it doesn't mean you're stupid. It just means that you don't really know how it works in a, from a development standpoint. But from a consumer's perspective, it does not, I mentioned this in my last video about this, it does not matter what you think, it's just gonna be the new standard for a lot of people. And that's good, in my opinion. As much as it scares some developers, some minor developers, maybe some smaller studios, I can understand that, definitely. I think most of you guys understand that. I think most of you watching are reasonable people. I think most of you understand that, of course, I'm not gonna judge a smaller indie title on the basis of Baldur's Gate 3. I keep seeing this sentiment, and it just irks me so much that I keep seeing developers go on these not Zalavier by any matter. I just want to say that the guy has a point with some of the things he's saying. But it's just, when you see AAA devs like actual developers from AAA studios, or studios that make AAA titles, and publishers that ride on this coattail of a tweet and start going, yeah, it's super difficult. Oh yeah, you can't have this type of expectation now because you're just gonna, you're not gonna be able to be satisfied when you're playing our games. It's so hilarious because it's almost like you knew it was gonna happen. It's this kind of weird signal because it sends this signal to me and many other people that as a AAA developer, when you're agreeing with Salavier saying that, they've had a lot of issues, but that doesn't matter. They've had a lot of luck, and that has essentially made the game as successful as it was. Yes, they already made two excellent CRPGs, but that doesn't really matter. They they were lucky. I keep seeing that. I fucking hate it. Stop saying that they were lucky. They made themselves, okay? Let's be fair here. Yes, absolutely. Dungeons and Dragons might be as popular as it's ever been. Yeah, absolutely. That might be a case, but Baldur's Gate 3, even if you remove the fact that it's in a popular niche right now, the game in itself is so excellent that even if you weren't interested in RPGs, you would still have this insane quality of a game. If you maybe some of you watched my old video, I made a video earlier this year where I said from the very fucking get-go that this is one of the greatest games in the past few years. That's literally like on the thumbnail or in the title, and why you should play Baldur's Gate 3. Some of you guys may remember that video. See, that's the thing. People caught on to that not because of my video, but a lot of people felt the same way because of Baldur's Gate 3's quality. And, yes, of course, there's a lot of elements that goes into making a video game excellent. I just find it silly that you have to point out every single thing that has gone right for Baldur's Gate 3, but then we have other things that have made the situation worse for them that they've had to work through, like let's not forget about the pandemic, which I think as, again, a lot of consumers and just generally gamers understand that, yeah, of course, this is going to hurt development. Again, I just do not believe this idea that, consumers are fucking morons. And they will judge Baldur's Gate 3 upon, they will use Baldur's Gate 3 as a baseline upon every game out there. It's just not true. But what I think is very important to take from all of this is that Baldur's Gate 3 has such excellent quality. Larian should be praised as a studio for how they've managed to build this wonderful, masterpiece of a game. Let's just be completely frank here. It's just, as I said, I can't stop playing this game. It's been such a long time since I played a game this much without being able to do anything else. I can't wash my dishes without thinking about Baldur's Gate 3 and what I did with that choice. I can't even take a shower. I can't eat. I can't go out, to the store to buy ingredients for making food or anything. It's like, of course I do, but I can't stop thinking about Baldur's Gate. It's been such a refreshing time to have a game that's making you so deeply invested in it. And it should just stand as an example, because I think that's the right lesson to take from all of this, is that, hey, EA, Activision, Blizzard, every other big fucking studio out there, look at what Larian is doing and try to create some form of, I don't know, really, again, I'm a little bit ignorant on this because I don't know how it works behind the studios, but if Larian is able to do it, of course they are, they don't have a publisher, sort of. Yes, they have the rights from Wizards of the Coast to make Baldur's Gate 3, but they don't have a publisher, right? Hey, so publishers, come on, guys, just stop with the fucking, stop trying to push microtransactions into everything. Stop trying to nickel and dime everyone. Just look at what the Larian did. Try to give your studios the ability or the freedom. Try to create maybe an environment, right? The leadership at Larian and Sven Vinke in particular has created this environment for Larian to make this type of game. They've also they have this huge retention of employees as well, of developers that are still working at Larian, which is also another crazy thing. At the end of the day, yes, Baldur's Gate 3 is an anomaly right now. Zalavier is absolutely right about that, but it shouldn't be. It should be the standard. It needs to be the standard because I think all of us are fucking sick of how gaming has been the past few years. We have had a pretty good year so far. We have had Tears of the Kingdom and Final Fantasy 16. We have Starfield on the way. There's definitely something that slips my mind that was great as well, but let's just accept it for what it is, and that is that Baldur's Gate 3 needs to be the new standard for AAA RPGs in particular. And I'm really hoping people, especially developers and publishers, see that, because consumers are just sick and tired of the type of game that has become this regularity when it comes to AAA games. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you think that this entire discussion is pointless, or do you think it's important to talk about this? I think it's very important to at least make sure that publishers and studio heads and people like that know that this is the type of game that most gamers want. Then again, you can't really expect this type of game for every game going forward. That's just impossible, of course. And it might just end up being that Baldur's Gate 3 is one of those games that we only see once upon a generation, unfortunately. I really hope that is not the case, and I hope a lot of studios and I hope a lot of publishers learn something from this so we can get more games that are at least close to this type of quality. Anyway, I should go. Thank you for watching. Mr. Olton, signing out.